Well, it's hard for anyone, of course, to even imagine the thought of losing a child, losing a family member. It's just one of those things you don't necessarily want to even think about.
Right, and students at Ohio University are trying to make it easier for people to talk about this, learn about it. Of course, the wonderful Nicole Mollica is back with us today.
Oh, wonderful.
Talking about, you know, and you're always here talking about something that's important for people to go over and hard for them to talk about. Last time we spoke about body image. This time we're talking about something that hits a little closer to home, and suicide prevention. It's such an important thing. It's something that a lot of people deal with, but they don't have a lot of things to help them along the way, a lot of people to talk to. So this week there is a walk to bring people out together. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, well, a year ago, my mom committed suicide, and I didn't have any resources available to me in my grief. And I looked, you know, I'm a social work student, so immediately I started checking, you know, for support groups, for just, you know, other individuals who are dealing with the same issue that I was dealing with. So, after a few months, a family member in Akron, Ohio invited me to a local Out of Darkness suicide prevention walk, and she was honoring my mom. So I went to show my support for her team, and for the first time in probably 4 months was when I truly felt some healing from it. So I came home and I was angry because why couldn't I feel like this all the time? Why wasn't there something here for me where I live, the area that I love? And so I decided, well, if there's nothing here, I'm just going to create something, and I'm going to bring that same walk to the tri-state area.
And you yourself, because of the whole social work background, at least you had some resources, or you knew where to look for some resources, and yet you still had a problem trying to connect and make that connection with somebody to talk about what you had been through.
Absolutely. I think, you know, we are a very progressive society, but at times there are still some things that we feel like we can't talk about. You know, we talk about cancer, we talk about heart disease, but we don't talk about mental health needs. And I, you know, just felt that anger and that hurt that I couldn't talk about my loved one, like someone talks about their loved one who's, you know, terribly, you know, died of cancer. And that was frustrating. So with this walk and with the Out of Darkness American Foundation for Suicide Prevention as a whole, is that they are starting that conversation. We're opening up that way to communicate about our loved ones. You know, we're doing, you know, suicide prevention research. Their goal is to drop suicide rates by 20% by 2025, which is amazing. We're opening up that conversation, we're spreading awareness, and we're bringing healing. That's the most important thing.
What are some of the ways to accomplish that? How do we as a society, and I'm sure this is some part of what you talk to people about, how do you prevent that? Is it being able to talk about it? Because like you pointed out, the whole idea of just getting beyond that, I don't want to talk about it, it's that quiet thing that people say in whispers and shadows when it comes to mental illness.
About removing the stigma.
The stigma, exactly. Getting it out there.
You know, I think, especially, I mean, this is just my, you know, experience. I think we're so often afraid, well, you know, this person died and it was horrible, and do I even mention it to my friend? Do I even mention it to my family member? Do I even talk about it? So I think we're so quick to not talk about it because we're afraid we're going to upset them. And that might be the case, especially in the beginning. But I think we as family survivors of losing a loved one to suicide, we kind of get used to people not wanting to talk about it with us. And you know, sometimes we want to talk about our loved one, and we want to talk about, yes, they died horribly, but what a life they lived. And I think by just, you know, putting it out there, like, listen, I know this walk is happening in our area, and I know this has affected your life greatly, and I think it would be awesome if you would go with me to this walk.
Right, so it breaks other people out of their shells when it's not something that they've dealt with before, because typically when we haven't experienced anything, then we don't like talking about it and we don't know what to say. But like you said, with cancer and other organizations that have really brought people out there, they've made it comfortable to talk about even if you don't know anything about it. So you're hoping people come out, and you had mentioned there is a gold level and a silver level?
Yes.
What does that mean?
During this walk that I went to, there was something called a bead ceremony. And because my family member was one of the teams, and she knew the person organizing it, she asked me if I would be willing to represent the gold color, which gold is loss of a parent. And when this occurs, each color representative, which there's a color for military men and women who, because we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide. There's white for loss of a child. There's red for loss of a spouse, orange for loss of a sibling. There's all these different colors for a certain type of loss. And each person stands in front of a little table with those beads on there, and we read a little thing about their loved one. And we kind of put it out there, yes, this person died, but wow, they lived too. And they get to adorn themselves with that bead color. And I'm still hoping that I can represent loss of child, which is white, and loss of red, which is spouse, for this walk, because it was so healing, standing up there with other survivors.
I bet it was,
And
yeah.
we got to join hands.
Strength.
And it was so strengthening and emotional, but healing, very healing. And I hope, everyone, it is hard to talk about, and it's hard to stand up there,
Yeah.
but when you're hearing those other loved ones' names being read and those beautiful attributes of their loved one being said, it is a very emotional and calming experience.
Connection.
Yes.
So when it comes to those beads and getting people to stand up and be there, what would you like them to do? Who do they need to reach out to? What's the information?
If they would just email me, my email is nm542711@ohio.edu. If they are interested, just feel free to email me. If they know someone who would like to represent that, feel free to reach out. We still have a few days before this walk occurs.
Right, it's Sunday.
It's Sunday, April the 24th.
Coming right up. Okay.
Yes. Registration starts at 1. The walk itself is from 2 to 4.
Now, we're going to have this information, and we know our producer, Melanie, she'll not only have this
Right.
on our website, we will also have the information, since you so nicely gave your email address for people to contact you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we'll probably get that from you.
Absolutely.
And we'll have it on the First Look at 4
And
Facebook page.
And I do want to mention, it is absolutely free to walk. I think sometimes we associate these charitable walks with, well, I have to pay this amount or I have to raise this amount. It is completely free to walk. And I will say every dollar counts. 80% of each dollar, so 80 cents of each dollar, goes to suicide prevention research, goes to these walks, and that's pretty outstanding for a nonprofit organization.
And I mean, the community ties and the emotional support is priceless, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You're doing great work, and
you.
it's wonderful that you have that personal connection, and the whole idea of being able to talk to other people about it. That strength that you
Right.
That's what people
Incredible,
look for.
especially since you're able to talk about it so soon. We should
Right.
mention, you're still coping with the loss from your
Still
mother from
coping.
last January.
But this is healing.
That helps you.
This is healing.
Yeah.
For me, I'm an organizer as it is, but just getting the news, getting it out there,
Yeah.
let's talk about this. Let's start this conversation.
Yeah.
That's, the bus, I can't save my mom. She's gone.
Right.
But I can help others, and I can help prevent this from happening
Absolutely.
to other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad that we get to help you do it, and we hope
you so much.
that if anybody does need information, of course, we will have that on our First Look at 4 Facebook page. That's happening at Ironton High School. That's where the walk is
Connected
this Sunday.
with Ohio University Southern.
Gotcha.
Right.